I've made $31,500 in 11 days by just upselling to our old customers, right? And this is all because of service delivery. The service that we delivered was so good that people wanted more of it. And in this video, I'm going to give you my top 5 tips to make your service delivery so fucking good that you'll reduce churn, get insane testimonials, insane success stories, get positive word of mouth spread, and so you can upsell the exact same like I did as well. So there's a lot of people that want to focus on service delivery and that want to settle for mediocrity, right? They're like, oh yeah, my clients give this, I don't know, an 8 out of 10. I'm fine with that. And we don't want to be like those fucking peasants, bro. Like this, I really want you to adopt this mindset. Like service delivery is the best thing that you can ever do. If you all have this peasant mindset of like, oh, an 8 out of 10, it's fine, bro. It's like, of course it is good and it's better than 99% of all these deliveries out there, all these courses and everything out there. But we don't want to be like that. We want to strive for top 0.01%. We want to give our clients such an amazing experience that they have to keep getting back to us for more, that they will just literally ask us for more, right? So the first thing that you need to do is you need to realize that it's all about experience. And this is the first tip, that it's all about experience and results. So a lot of people, they go with service delivery, they just go in with this mindset of like, oh, everybody is doing this, so it must work, right? But you don't understand the fundamentals as of why it works. And honestly, bro, everything ties back to experience and results. If you cannot create an amazing experience for your customers, then even though they're getting results, they'll be like, yeah, I don't really know, I don't really like this and stuff. However, if you have a shit results and an amazing experience, they're already like more likely to stay with you, but they're like, I don't know, I'm not really getting the results, right? And by the way, this is like based off of data that Alex Hormozi said inside his recordings, is experience is better than results. If you give people an amazing experience and shit results, they're more likely to stay than if it's the other way around, right? So the easiest way, and I'm going to give you like the last tip that I'm going to give you, tip number 5, is that this video is going to be like a very, very good tip that we've used to maximize both, right? Results and experience. That's like a tip I've never seen anybody talk about, but it's fucking powerful, man. So the second tip is we want to host challenges, bro. Because before we were hosting these challenges, like I've got something called Ultra Week, right? Before we were hosting these challenges, everything was like kind of fine. The leadership, like the points on the leaderboard were like, I don't know, 1,000, and everybody gave like a 4 out of 5 when it came down to service delivery, like, right? Like all the people. Right now, after we've done this challenge, and like we really wanted to increase this number, by the way, because we realized that the churn was kind of high, it was decent, and yeah, bro, people just didn't get too crazy results and stuff. And we're like, bro, we need to fucking fix this shit, because this is not how we wanted our business to be looking like, right? So imagine this, imagine you really want to make money, but you also want to focus on service delivery. It's like, it's a hard choice to make what to focus on, right? But we decided to go all in with service delivery. And yeah, bro, we decided to host this challenge that I'm going to tell you exactly what we did for this challenge. We decided to host this challenge. And right now, like, we have like most of the people give this a 5 out of 5, give our program a 5 out of 5, right? And a lot of feedback that we've gotten is, oh, please host more challenges. It's so fucking great. And what we do for these challenges is we've got something called Ultra Week. And this is basically where we have people competing against each other for a certain prize. And the first time I actually found out about this was in my sales job. Like, I wasn't I was already like very motivated for my sales job, but this is just something that skyrocketed the motivation, right? This competition. It's even in the book How to Influence and Influence People. There's like this tip that says, if you want people to do more of something, just give them a challenge and they will go crazy. So yeah, man, how we hosted this challenge was, it was based off of the calls that they booked, right? And this will be different to you, like you have a different dream outcome, but the dream outcome that we provide is 50 qualified sales calls in your calendar in 90 days. So we basically, for this challenge, the person that got the most calls booked, he basically won a prize that he could choose. So this was something like, okay, 5 sales calls taken for you or taken with you, or they could decide, right? And it was more of like a status thing as well, like a competition thing, right? So I booked 52 calls in 7 days. And then my next client, like my second client, like my client that became first place, he booked 46 calls. So we were like competing against each other a little bit. And this was like in 7 days, right? We're like competing against each other, and we were like really motivating each other, because we were like, okay, fuck, man, I want to beat you. I want to book more calls than you do, right? So this really, really increased the engagement as well, and like the networking, because everybody was like encouraging each other, or like having this healthy competition as well. So that was like a very powerful thing, where everybody was just talking with each other more, like the engagement really increased. But on top of that, also the results really increased as well. And by the way, if you increase engagement, the experience, that like basically what we spoke about, the experience really goes up. But I'll talk more about that later. But another thing is like the results, of course, really increased as well, because honestly, everybody was competing for these calls, and they were like, man, I want to book more calls than this guy, right? And it was like player versus player. Right now we might do a team versus team, so it's like, for example, 5 people against 5 people, but that's something we need to test out as well. So let me look through the script real quick. So the third tip is, you want to focus on getting more feedback. A lot of people have service delivery and they don't focus on getting feedback. But what gets measured gets improved, right? If you don't focus on measuring something, how do you expect? Like I've hopped on so many calls with people where I just ask them, yo bro, like what is your setting call conversion rate? And they're like, yeah, I need to improve it. And then I'm like, okay, so what is the numbers? What is the metrics? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, bro, like how do you know that you need to improve that if you don't even know the fucking metrics, right? So we don't really want to be like that. We really want to increase the amount of things that we track, right? And one of those things should definitely be client satisfaction, customer satisfaction. And the easiest way to track that is by just creating a Google Forms. And we created this Google Forms. And what we thought was going to happen was people were going to say, oh yeah, I want to get more courses and I want to get more and more and more information, right? And what we found is that people said, wait, I feel kind of overwhelmed right now. I want to get a little bit less courses. I want to get more engagement in the community, which I'm going to talk about later. Like they said, I want to be more engaging with the community. I want to do more group calls. And those were actually the main things that people wanted. So then we were like, okay, wait, we need to switch things up a little bit. We need to do less less course content because people feel overwhelmed. And we need to do more group calls because that's literally what they're asking for, right? So this feedback, like receiving this feedback is very, very powerful. And if you can just create a feedback form and send that over to your clients, maybe once every month or once every 2 months, it's really going to be a very powerful thing. A couple things that we ask is, like the most important thing is, what would you rate our program? Then another thing is, how long have you been inside the program as well? What if we would remove one thing from the community, what would it be? If we would keep everything in the community except for one thing, what would it be? Right? So these are very amazing questions that you can ask, and it will really help you identify, okay, cool. What do we need to double down on? Let me throw the script away real quick. What do I need to double down on, and what do I need to do less? Right? Because a lot of people think less is more. A lot of people think more is more, like, more courses, more group calls, more everything will just make them feel better. But this is really not the case. In fact, it's actually the opposite way. Less is more, as I said before, right? So how I found out about this is I had a paid community back in the day, right? A paid program. I was just like, okay, let me add all the courses. I want to add more courses. And I had like hours upon hours of course content inside my community. And honestly, nobody watched it. It was like, I really wanted to get them results, right? I needed to get them results because it was like the start of my business. I needed this word of mouth. I needed these testimonials. And honestly, like, nobody was watching the courses. And I was like, bro, you're paying me for this. Like, please go watch the courses. And I was like, oh, maybe just because they only paid $100, $200, they're not committed. But then I realized, fuck. Like, this is later on, right? Later on I realized, fuck. It's because I had so much course content. They just felt overwhelmed. They were like, bro, I don't have the time to watch all of this. Because what we need to realize is that for us as coaches, like, this is our life, right? This is our business. We spend so much time on this. But for our customers, it's a little bit different. For them, it's not like, this is their entire life. No, this is just part of their business. It's part of their learning curve, right? So that's a very important mindset shift to have. I had the exact same with group calls. I had like one group call every single day. And what happened is the more group calls I added, the less scarce it seemed. And they were like, who gives a fuck? I can just join tomorrow. Why would I join today? And the people that showed up to the group calls actually really decreased. At some point, I had like 20 people inside of the paid program, and nobody was joining the group calls. I was like, bro, what the fuck is happening here? So if you have a lot, like very little people inside your community, it doesn't make sense to add more group calls. Now, of course, if you have like 1,000 people inside your community, you decide to go with a low ticket course or something like that. Of course, it makes sense, right? Then you might want to add more. But what we do, like, we only have like 15 customers right now, but we do only 2 group calls or like 3 group calls every single week. And on average, like 4 people show up to that, right? So that is very, very powerful. But if we would do group calls every single day, it will seem way more scarce, like way less scarce. And probably way less people would actually be likely to join as well. So this is very important to keep in mind. All right? Less is more. Less is more. I also see many people make like 3 posts a day inside their community. And it just overwhelms them as well. All right? So keep that in mind, man. Less is more. It's literally everywhere. It's for like thumbnails, for service delivery, even for your free community. Less is always more. All right? Now the 5th tip, and this is the last tip, and this is the tip that is very, very powerful, is people join because of the expert, but they stay because of the community. Okay? I learned this lesson from Russell Brunson in his book Expert Secrets. And whenever I learned it first about this, I was like, okay, cool, I cannot really apply this because I didn't really have a community, right? Then I reread that book. And by the way, it's like a very powerful book. Go fucking read it, right? I read that book and I was like, whoa, that's so powerful. And I realized that I could give them everything. I could give them courses and group calls and get them amazing results everywhere. But if they didn't feel like they belonged to the community, they'd be like, fuck this shit. Something was off, right? And this actually happened to me, to my program. and people were like, it's good, I'm getting results, but something was missing. There wasn't really engagement. And the feedback that we got from our customers right now is, man, of course the courses are great, the group calls are great, but the community, man, the community is the best thing that have ever happened to me. Like, they really love the fucking community, right? And if you don't understand this, you will never be able to deliver the best experience as possible. And this is why it's so important to increase the engagement inside the community as well. Get everybody to really engage. Like, all the people that churn for us right now are people that don't really engage. There are people that maybe make a couple posts here and there and all that stuff. But the people that are like our best clients, getting the best results, and are the most satisfied with our program, giving us the most referrals, are by far the people that engage the most as well. Right? So what you want to do is you want to really build this community culture. You want to see, okay, what do I stand for? What do I like? And just have these inside jokes as well, right? So for example, when somebody says like, oh, I'm going to do this right now, and we like hold them accountable and we see that they don't do it, we will just say, oh bro, are you gay? Are you gay or something like that, right? And it's not it's not that funny or something like that. But when you have that as something as a community culture, it's just a fun way. Like, everybody is saying like, oh, I don't want to be gay today, I'm going to work 12 hours a day, right? And then we see, at the end of the day, we see like, oh, check Rise, bro, like, show us how many hours you've worked. And they're like, oh, I've only worked, I don't know, 11 and a half hours. And then everybody's like, oh, spamming all these gay flags and stuff. It's just a fun way to go about things, right? It's the same with speed. Like, we have this thing with speed. If somebody takes action immediately, like, multiple people are just commenting speed. And it's just funny, right? Like, this really helps with accountability, but also just really creating that community culture. And this is something that you need to set for your customers. Like, they can define it, but if you set it, it's way more powerful because they kind of look up to you as the expert, right? So yeah, man, define that community culture, increase the engagement, tell them, like, indoctrinate them basically of why it's so important to network with each other as well. If you can just tell your own story of how you used to network with other people and how that was so valuable, they'll be like, fuck, I want the exact same as well. And then you just tell them, okay, you can do the same with this community. Like, everybody is paying to be inside, so that means that everybody is dedicated, everybody is like you. Just network with each other. And right now, people inside our community are all hopping on calls with each other. So this doesn't mean that they will have like one relationship only with you, and when they leave the community, they will only break basically their relationship with you as the expert. But they also have all these different relationships among themselves. They have relationships with person 1 and person 2 and person 3. And once they leave the community, there's a big chance that they will break at least some of these relationships as well, right? Which means they're way less likely to leave the community because they don't want to break these relationships. And even the future relationships, like the future networking opportunities, they don't want to miss out on those as well, right? So yeah, man, those are my key 5 tips for delivering an amazing service, right? And if you have any questions, I know I keep saying this, if you have any questions, message me on Instagram, message me on school, I don't give a fuck. Just message me somewhere, I'd love to help you out. And that's it, bro. Take care.